Bring in Congressman Scott Taylor of Virginia. He's on the House Appropriations Committee and a former Navy SEAL. I want to start, and great to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. So glad you're on the program. I want to start, though, with Judge Kavanaugh and the comments there. Sarah Sanders bringing up some strong points against some strong questions, if you will. She said, I think both Kavanaugh and Ford are victims at the hands of the Democrats. What do you think she means, and do you agree?
Let me start with the second one first. I do agree. I mean, you had Senator Feinstein, who had this information months ago while he's being investigated by the FBI. So if they felt as though it rose to the level to be looked at by the FBI, they had a duty, quite frankly. She had a duty to hand that information over. But it's very clear that she kept it for political purposes, political timing. And then she, obviously, someone leaked it. Someone leaked her name out there. She wanted to remain anonymous. It wasn't Republicans who had her information. It was Senator Feinstein's office or someone that was either inside her office or someone who knew it. So it was on the Democrat side. So I do think that the Democrats have not handled this. They've handled the process very, very poorly, to say it at the least, say the best I can say about it, and with complete disregard for Dr. Ford or Kavanaugh or their families.
You know, just in terms, Congressman Taylor, of how this is being handled. I mean, you saw the barrage of questions from reporters on basically a simple question and a singular question from the president's rally last night. And it had to do with kind of, you know, poking some fun at who can remember what. And it seemed to be about Dr. Ford. Sarah Sanders taking a lot of questions on that. And how would you categorize the answers today?
Well, let me say that, you know, politics aside, you know, partisan politics aside, I mean, both this family, the Kavanaugh family, the Ford family, they've gone through hell. And yeah. What's amazing is that like you said, the questions are solely focused on one thing and what the president said, but not what he said in terms of the answer she gave during her testimony, where she couldn't remember anything. I mean, that's, you know, you had the lady who generated basically the responses and sort of picked apart her whole argument. I mean, that's news. They need to look further into that. I mean, yes, I understand it's certainly news if he is accused by someone. But you know, there was one girl who was on TV and she got interviewed. She knew nothing, and now she's walked back her accusations. This is incredible. I mean,
you're talking about the third accuser, the woman who was the third accuser.
Yes.
It was just interesting because, yes. As you're pointing out, the inconsistencies that we're seeing about the lie detector tests, and look, we're just looking at the basic facts of a letter came in from an ex-boyfriend of Dr. Ford. We're not saying textually yes. whether or not she's telling the truth. We're just looking at the facts. And I understand what you're saying. I also got what Sarah Sanders was saying. Why are we not looking at those inconsistencies the same way that we're looking at Judge Kavanaugh's? I understand. I want to ask you about Iran, sure. if I can. The United States now has canceled the 1955 treaty with Iran on economic relations and consular rights. What does this mean going forward with our relationship with them?
Well, it's no secret that our relationship is certainly strained with the Ayatollahs and the regime, and it has been since 1979. I mean, look, we as Americans, we like the Iranian people. We want to have relationships with them. But the reality is you have a rogue regime who's causing havoc all over the Middle East. They are undermining other governments in other countries, in Iraq, in Yemen, in Syria, in Libya. Obviously, they're a big threat to our friend and ally Israel. So I think the goal here, of course, is to change the behavior of the Ayatollahs. And, and I'm for that. You know, I support that.
All right, Scott Taylor, Representative, thank you very much for being on the program and responding in breaking news fashion from the White House press briefing. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Always